As humanity approaches its final days on Earth, we must come up with a unified field theory. To science, the unified field theory is the ultimate blueprint of how the universe works. But while we spend billions searching the past and scanning the cosmos for salvation, our crisis grows. If the answer were out there, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in. I say the unified field theory isn't about distant galaxies. It's about focusing man's future on changing science. Science should be a study of saving mankind's future, not looking in the rearview mirror. Mankind should be asking only one question: what really matters? There is one answer: how do humans continue life on Earth? This should be what the unified field theory is about. Artificial intelligence must be controlled by the people for the people. Our government must take immediate actions and buy out the tech giants. Fortunately, Google and the others have already cornered the market on our top quantum scientists. That makes the target clear. When the American people buy tech, they're effectively buying science. Only in America do we have the laws in place to take over the tech companies if they're posing a national security risk. The law is called the War Powers Act. Unless we radically redefine physics and build new standard models, our future will continue accelerating downward. What is physics? Physics is the branch of science responsible for artificial intelligence. This is what I will be challenging. Physics has numerous error codes. I will be presenting undeniable proof of where the errors are and how we can fix them. Quantum mechanics operates under the laws of physics. It's the foundation where the math begins, the source of where the zeros and ones come from. It's the engine behind AI, the reason your cell phone works. But something is deeply wrong. The science, our most powerful, has been hijacked and is being mismanaged, accelerating humanity in the wrong direction. Tech companies can't go north and south at the same time, and they've chosen their path: profit over survival. If mankind is to remain on Earth, quantum mechanics must be redirected away from profit and towards saving humanity. Currently, quantum mechanics is held as a triumph, but only because mankind worships money. Its fatal flaw: it funnels power and wealth into the hands of a select few, creating an unsustainable imbalance that guarantees economic collapse. Yes, quantum mechanics is enabling dazzling AI, but here's the tragedy. If we don't change course, mankind won't be on Earth to enjoy it. Artificial intelligence is programming us to chase short-term entertainment while blinding us to long-term consequences. That's the trap, and it's closing fast. If we don't wake up now, we'll pay the ultimate price. The spotlight has been on what quantum mechanics can do for the individual, when the real question is, what is quantum mechanics and artificial intelligence doing to our society? Next, I will expose the fatal flaws in quantum mechanics and show you how to fix it. First, a disclaimer. Scientists will rush to say, the math checks out. Of course it does, it's their math. But if quantum mechanics is so perfect, then riddle me this: why is humanity in a free fall? To understand quantum mechanics is actually very simple. Scientists are measuring the particles in the subatomic world. This enables Google to be able to give 8 billion people directions at one time. Where do they study these particles? In an XY axis. I will show you shortly. The first fundamental flaw in quantum mechanics are the rules that govern quantum mechanics states that while a particle is being observed in the subatomic world, science can never measure a particle in motion. The only exact measurement are when science takes a snapshot. This snapshot is called obtaining the superposition. So to recap, no superposition means no accuracy. Measuring a particle in motion is absolutely forbidden. Since I will be proving that quantum mechanics is essentially a fraud, let's ask ChatGPT for proof. Let's ask Google. The only way to measure and get 100% definite results is by measuring the superposition. Google says yes. In quantum mechanics, can a particle in motion be measured with 100% accuracy? The answer is no. Since my goal is to make quantum mechanics easy, where exactly does all this measuring take place? A basketball game takes place on a court. Quantum mechanics plays out on a space-time grid. Here is what an XY axis looks like. The straight line that is moving straight up is marking time. The line that is moving laterally is marking distance in space. Without this grid, quantum mechanics collapses. The entire framework depends on this graph. It's safe to say the last place any errors need to occur is inside of the XY axis. But this is exactly what is happening. Up next, proof that quantum mechanics is measuring motion, which is against their own rules. I will use a famous science experiment that Sir Isaac Newton used to illustrate my point.
Newton performed a clever follow-up experiment. He placed a second prism in the path of the spectrum. Instead of producing more colors, this second prism recombined the spectrum into white light.
This was Newton's groundbreaking prism experiment. Newton proved that white light wasn't colored by objects. The colors are inside of light. Let's set the Newton story aside for now and turn to a far greater one. What science is overlooking? The two prisms are being used in one frame of reference, inside of one science experiment. Even though the prisms are only inches apart, in these 2 inches lies science's greatest missed opportunity, because those inches aren't empty, they're everything. In our human scale world, a few inches seem trivial, but in the subatomic realm, they dictate everything. Particles moving at 186,282 miles per second can cover millions of miles in what we perceive in those 2 inches. That tiny gap can completely alter the outcome of quantum experiments and the computations we build from them. Very soon, I will be introducing a new science, one that doesn't overlook the insignificant 2 inches, or any of the inches buried within XY axes that quantum mechanics relies on. The science delivers deeper precisions and greater accuracy, unlocking a level of understanding current models can't reach. How does my science measure more accurately? We measure with superpositions, millions and billions of still shots inside of these 2 inches, something that quantum mechanics isn't even thinking about. This is where the plot thickens.
John Clauser and Anton Zeilinger were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for proving that the universe isn't locally real. What I love about this story is that it's a story of quite literally some of the smartest people who have ever lived being confused, and how ultimately Einstein was proven wrong, which doesn't really happen all that often. Now, this hinges a lot on what happens to quantum objects when you actually go out and measure them. So let me introduce you to the idea for a particle of light called a photon. Photons have a property called polarization, which describes which way the wave of light is oscillating through space, either vertically or horizontally, or potentially somewhere in between. If you wanted to measure which state a photon was in, you would put it through a polarizer that lets through either vertical light in one orientation, or it will only let through horizontal light in another orientation. You can see this effect when using polarizing films, which are the same stuff you find on a pair of polarizing sunglasses. By orienting 2 polarizing films at 90 degrees to each other, you see no light emerges through them. What is interesting here is that if you place a third polarizer between these two, you suddenly, and I think quite counterintuitively, start to see more light.
You didn't hear wrong. The 2022 Nobel Prize winners proved beyond a shadow of a doubt what you see with your naked eye is not real. The objects, including you, concrete, and the mountains, are not really here according to physics. So hopefully you're starting to get it. Quantum mechanics should not be using the observable world at every turn. which I will prove is exactly what they're doing. So how they prove that the world we see isn't here can be done with an experiment in your kitchen. I did the experiment, and you can too. All you need is 3 polarizing film pages. Place one horizontal, one laterally, and the light is blocked out. But whenever you put the 3rd page at an angle, shazam! The 3rd page doesn't block out light, it actually creates more light. Not only counterintuitive, but all the data needed to win a Nobel Prize. Now you would think that this would change the world of quantum mechanics. Nope, not any changes. Darwin, with his adaptability theory, must be rolling over in his grave. Let's ask Google, does quantum mechanics use the subatomic world and the observable world? The answer is yes. Proof that quantum mechanics is mixing the subatomic world with our observable world, and that, as I will show, is a fatal mistake. Why is life spiraling into chaos? Because quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, your cell phone, everything is built on a science designed for convenience, not precision. It's riddled with error codes. It's no surprise the godfather of AI himself, Geoffrey Hinton, says AI will destroy us. Of course it will, Geoffrey. You built it on sand. Let's go back to Newton's prism experiment. Can you imagine the amount of accurate data that can be taken with my blockchain superposition science? Inside these 2 inches, my science is taking millions and billions of 100% accurate measurements. More data unlocks more precise measurements. What is at the heart of physics? Measurement and data. I drew an XY axis around Newton's experiment. Why? To empower you. Quantum mechanics must be updated. Newton couldn't correct the critical errors hidden in those 2 inches. He didn't have a quantum computer, but we do. With modern tools, time and space can now be measured with far greater precision. My new science, blockchaining the superposition, refuses to play quantum mechanics' chaotic game of chasing momentum. That's where their errors multiply. Look at the blockchains. No measuring between the superposition. This is the superposition that we're not measuring. I capture only the still frames, the still shots within the blockchains. That's where the clean data lives at. Quantum mechanics is tangled in the observable world. In my science, we ignore the observable world. The subatomic crevices are where the truths are hidden. If you're a real scientist, this isn't a threat, it's a gift. This is your chance to step off the merry-go-round of stale measurements and lead a revolution. By rebuilding the foundation of physics, we don't just improve the digital world, we upgrade humanity's chance of staying on Earth. When looking for proof, look no further than the fact that humans, concrete, and even mountains are made up of 99.9% empty space. Let's ask Google. Are the humans made up of 99% empty space? Google confirms.
This award was highly anticipated by their colleagues, who said it was an extremely well-deserved recognition for upending reality as we know it.
If the observable world isn't real, then how accurate is time? When time itself is synced to a science that isn't even processing thoughts accurately. When time is not synced with accuracy, undoubtedly errors are going to be everywhere. And those errors are dragging us closer to a collapse. The XY axis that quantum mechanics relies on isn't delivering truths. It's producing a science of probabilistic illusions. How could all of mankind miss this? That's an easy question to answer. Why both science and society are addicted to probabilities. Everyone's temporarily happy. The American people get a digital fantasy world to live in. AI-generated images that are more entertaining than reality itself. Meanwhile, humanity quietly devolves into docile house cats, programmed not to question the long-term consequences of being mentally weakened on a planet as unforgiving as Earth. What AI is doing to our children, our future adults, is criminal. And what do the tech giants receive in this probabilistic fool's gold? Power, wealth, plus an assurance that AI prevents any new challengers. Who wouldn't want to steal? But make no mistake, they're guilty. They control the AI, they see the predictive algorithm screaming at them, "You're going to destroy mankind." They count their billions, stick their heads in the sand, and as long as they have stayed perched on top, the fate of humanity is a price they're willing to pay. Up next, the proof. My math only uses superpositions. It does away with the flaws of probabilities. Next up, a video to scare you straight.
In what year will the human population grow too large for the Earth to sustain? The answer is about 1970.
Mostly for the same reason.
Too many people, too much consumption, and growth mania.
At the age of 90, biologist Paul Ehrlich may have lived long enough to see some of his dire prophecies come true.
You seem to be saying that humanity is not sustainable.
No, humanity is not sustainable. To maintain our lifestyle, yours and mine, basically, for the entire planet, you'd need 5 more Earths. Not clear where they're going to come from. Humanity is very busily sitting on a limb that we're sawing off.
I would say it's too much to say that we're killing the planet, because the planet's going to be fine. What we're doing is we're killing our way of life.
Biologist Tony Barnofsky, Ehrlich's Stanford colleague.
The data are rock solid. I don't think you'll find a scientist that will say we're not in an extinction crisis.
What do you do when you get this kind of news? You introduce a new science, one that stands above all other sciences. I call it blockchaining the superposition. This new science doesn't chase probabilities, it eliminates them. It focuses solely on the superpositions, which allow 100% mathematical accurate measurements. No more guessing, no more maybes. We block out space, we forget about time, just like Newton's 2-prism experiment. Those 2 inches give us all the data we'll ever need. From that, we build a trail of superpositions using quantum computers. We'll transform trillions of these still frozen superpositions into motion, the same way animators brought life to early cartoons. But this time, we're not drawing fantasies. We're engineering the power source of the universe. A new science for a new future. One that can finally free us from fossil fuels and give the next generation a planet to grow on. The cartoons provide a still shot. Then by fanning the still shots, this creates motion. With my science, we can do the same. Take similar still shots of the particles data in the subatomic world, then blockchain the superpositions together like a railroad car, and then turn science into motion, just like they did with the early cartoons. This would eliminate the error of measuring motion. Once the superposition math is set in motion with a quantum computer, we now have math that is 100% accurate, unlike the error-riddled probabilities that quantum mechanics is using now. Then the math can be used accurately and correctly up and down the x-axis. What does this provide mankind? Math that is 100% defined as accurate. The net results will be more accurate measurement. Again, that is at the heart of physics, measurements. By entering this imaginary world through theoretical physics models, the math in my blockchain superposition can be used to piece together the unified field theory. The missing puzzle pieces needed to reveal the true energy source of our universe. We take the superposition measurements, we create nothing more than a never-ending chain of superpositions similar to crypto. My new science changes the equation. We strip profit from the process and return science to its true purpose, saving humanity.
But what if we introduce another polarizer at a 45-degree rotational angle between these perpendicularly polarizers? Will we see any change? Well, yes, it is showing some change. It is rotating the vertical light, passing through the first polarizers, and passing it through the horizontal polarizers.
To make my point crystal clear, even the Nobel Prize winners' experiments involved polarizers that took up space, and space changes outcome. This is the same fundamental flaw that quantum mechanics is making. The results, a flood of hidden error codes that science isn't accounting for. Errors that multiply with every measurement. Now imagine this. Take that same small space that the polarizers occupy and measure at the beginning and at the end of each polarizer. You do away with motion. Instantly, you generate precise data, clean math, and real measurements. We must think outside of the box, or quantum mechanics is going to put us in a box 6 foot under. The key to unlocking the universe's true power lies in my blockchain superposition science. It all starts with one critical question. Which direction are the particles traveling? Until we answer that, we're blind. The founder of quantum mechanics warned us. The universe has been warning us. Look back and it's clear. Richard Feynman, the godfather of quantum mechanics, said if you think you understand quantum mechanics, you don't. And yet we build our entire future on a science we can't even grasp. Google's company motto from the beginning, don't be evil. Wow. The next step for mankind, we must find out the direction the particles are traveling. My simple rotation theory will help solve this riddle. My proposal is our physical presence is in constant motion, a motion that we are not aware of. Though we feel stationary, we are collectively hurtling through space on a superhighway at unbelievable speeds. Our bodies, composed of trillions of atoms, are in perpetual motion. Nothing on this planet, not even the planet itself, is truly still. The only illusions of stillness lie in our consciousness itself. Where is your body, really? Most of the time, you're in motion through space. The rest of the time, every second, you're anchored with all other humans in the human observable world. Everything, including us, moves in a spiraling corkscrew-like pattern, like a rotating sphere within a sphere. One thing is certain, we are not glued to this planet. No matter what science pretends, the foundation of science assumes we are stationary. But that assumption is fundamentally flawed. In truth, we are never still. Our bodies are made up of 99% empty space, hovering in motion. This is confirmed by science. Your feet aren't touching the ground. They're touching an electron wall. Particles have been traveling the same way for billions of years. They travel regardless if humans are on Earth or not. The most famous experiment in science, the double slit experiment, remains unsolved. Not even Einstein could crack its mystery. A particle gun fires particles through two slits. By conventional logic, like spraying water, you would expect two impact zones on the back wall. But instead, the particles leave behind 5 or more stripes. Something deeper is happening. Now I'll explain what's really going on. Here's the visual proof. To me, it's clear. The particles are rotating, spinning in a circular motion. This strongly supports my rotation theory. Doesn't it look like the particles are just being disturbed by the tiny slit, and then they're trying to reestablish their circular flow? And where are they headed? I believe back home, following the same trajectory they've always followed. Science never acknowledges the obvious. The particles are rotating. Instead, they push the tired explanation that what we see on the back wall is due to interference patterns. But here's the real truth. Science claims we can't observe the wave the particle is riding on. Why? Because in typical human arrogance, we assume that if we can't see it, it must not exist. But the wave isn't gone. It's simply beyond the reach of our instruments. The particles are still riding it, the wave is still there, we're just too blind to measure it. This chase through the maze of probabilities has us on a wild goose chase. There are two kinds of AI algorithms, predictive and generative. And big tech is obsessed with generative. The long and the short of what generative AI is, it takes our human data and reverse engineers it how to make you use your cell phone more. It studies human behavior to turn us into digital zombies. The glowing screen is the swinging watch, and the AI is the hypnotist. I'll never forget when my son was 8 years old. He looked up at me and said, "Dad, how do you know zombies aren't real?" I now realize my son's instincts were right on. A warning to the world. I had no choice but to release this information. It's the only chance to save the world. If mankind does nothing, giant tech will take my instructions, and very soon you will be living in a Google Zoo in the discomforts of your own home until the fiery end comes. If you like watching this video, go to my website at Ted-ology.com. You will want to watch Act 1, 2, and 3. When I listen to Beethoven, I can never predict the ending. He keeps going. Today I feel the same way. I want to stay with you forever. We must never give up. There must be hope. If we can see the fatal flaws in AI and quantum mechanics, we can correct them. We can still turn AI into our ally. I've carried this truth for 4.5 years, and every day I've felt the same urge to grab a megaphone and scream, "There's a fire coming," and no one is sounding the alarm. The powers that be know one truth. Control the science of quantum mechanics and you control humanity forever. They will do anything to keep that grip, even if it means lying, misleading, and confusing the masses. And here's the simple logic. They don't want you to see when a particle is moving at 186,000 miles per second. The math is far more accurate when you study still shots, not motion. You don't chase the blur, you capture the frame.